All right. I got a package today. I got the hats are in that Carla made. Now these are just two samples. They're not perfect. There's actually some problems with them, but I was hopeful, but I was also kind of predicting. You know, I was like, well, I hope they're super perfect and right out of the box, first time perfect. But then I was kind of like expecting there to be issues, and there's a couple issues. That's perfectly fine. I spoke with her on the phone today. I'm gonna show them to you. We're gonna go over it, and then she's gonna watch this. It'll make our next conversation even easier. This is an Army reproduction cap from the 1940s. Matter of fact, this has a tag in it, so it's from 1943. And I've pointed this out before. The Army cap has a seam directly in the front here. And the Marine Corps version, which happens to be this frog skin camo, has the flat panel directly in the front. That's the main difference between them. The Marine brim is also a little bit longer than the Army brim. Marine's also supposed to be reversible, right? And it's cool. Dig it. You guys see what I do. You guys see how I wear them. I always say it's not the cap, it's how you wear the cap. I like to pull this down over my ears and wear it kind of like that, which is not how you would wear it if you were in the service. But that's how I wear them. And I've been sticking these pencils in here. Excuse me, not ready. And all I did for that was I cut a slot in the side so I could fit a pencil in there. And I do that because I'm working the shop all the time and I need a pencil. All right, so many people, many times, and many in the comments, many videos, been all asking me, where'd you get that hat? I got to get that hat. I need a hat that holds a pencil. I kept going through it, and you guys know the story. I had Carla come out here. Has it been a week? It might have only been a week already. 2 weeks? 2 weeks ago. Is that right? I think that's right. And we cut up a pair of coveralls. Don't go anywhere. They're right here. And I picked these up at the store in the paint department pretty cheap. We cut these up. This pair smells like motor oil, and I washed them, and they still smell like motor oil, which kind of sucks, but we're not making a hat out of that. And Carla made a prototype, which she didn't send me yet, but that was a little effed off, so I can understand why. And then she made me 2 samples. These are the samples. Pretty good. Man, the fabric looks brand new, too. She even put my leather logo on the back of this one. We're going to talk about these in a minute. I also had picked up kind of like this train engineer style cap, and this is what you would call a hickory stripe. You guys know I modified this one. I put the snaps on the back because without the snaps, when you adjust it, this piece of fabric here would be just flapping around in the wind, and that was annoying to me. Put the second one on just for balance, really, in here. Now, I dug this, and I kind of like the way that this looks. I think that the pattern itself, the striping is a little bold, and it makes everybody think of a train engineer cap. I've had a couple comments on it. You're wearing a train engineer cap. Well, you know, I'm engineering my way through my life. You know, that's been my response. Now, this one didn't work so well for the pencil slot because you can see here I can stick my finger right through. So the pencil would poke through and wasn't real comfortable and all that. Versus the military caps, I happen to be wearing one. There's an actual pocket created here by the construction method used on the hat, which works out a lot better. It's far more comfortable. Now, I love these. I think they're super cool. I think we might want to shorten up on the brim. I'm going to try them on and everything else. First, I'm going to show you the parts that are not right. It's perfectly fine. I'm not angry. I expected it. It's what you go through when you're doing this. For one thing, they're too large. They're pretty big. They're too big for me. But there's a system that these hats are designed with that I thought of and called her about it to have her change something I had asked her to do, which was initially this hat band part inside here. It's only sewn around the bottom, not the top. And I thought we'd sew at the top. But then I realized, no, you don't want to do that because they only come in 3 sizes, small, medium, and large. So what you would want to do when you got one of these is you'd get it. And if it was too big, that's okay, because you could put some fabric in along on the inside here and then size the hat and make it fit you. And you could stitch that down with a couple basting stitches or something like that to make the hat comfortable. That's what I have to do with these hats. This, and not only are they larger, but they're different sizes. This one's a little bit larger than this one, and this one fits pretty well. But I did put some fabric inside the hat band there to make it okay for me for now. The other thing is, and Carla, these are details I just want you to listen to, because we're going to make a couple little changes, nothing serious. But on this one, she's got the seam in the front, and it's off center. This one is off center to my, well, it'll be my left if I'm wearing it, but you can see that right there. So that seam isn't center, it's too far over that way. Okay, it's not the end of the world. You wouldn't want to sell a hat like that. And also you could see what happens with this brim here. It goes down. When you wear it, it does that, which I like that you can flip these up, and you're absolutely going to want to do that with this style cap. It's fine. On this one, which is the better one, she's got the panel in the center, but also it's shifted way over to my left. So it's definitely not centered. Okay? Which is fine. Now, Carla was using a new machine. She has an industrial machine at home, and she was telling me how that was kind of getting away from her a little bit. So it's fine. She'll figure that out. Now, I also want to throw out there that she just purchased 2 new, like, machines that cost thousands of dollars. She got 2 new machines, and major industrial machines. One even is made for, like, production leather sewing and all that. So she's getting very serious about this. And just so you guys understand, Carla's been working for a major, large company for a long, long time. And she's a designer for them, and she makes prototypes for them. But she's also one of their managers, and she kind of wants to step back a little bit from that, and she'd prefer to do stuff like this. So I love that. I love giving her this opportunity, and I'm hoping that other people are going to reach out to her and ask her to make things for them as well. So it's pretty cool. And keep in mind, well, we'll get to that. Let me put one of these on. We'll put them both on for you. You know how much I love my hair. Okay, so this is the one where the seam's in the middle. And now here's the thing. You can see how, you know, I could put my fingers in here. So that's pretty large. And, I mean, this is a little bit of a problem. I mean, she did measure my head, so this is just me messing with her. So, you know, that's a thing. But it's okay. What's really cool is that the pencil slot is, what I like about it, you find it, it goes right in, and then it stretches it out. It makes it even easier to put it in every time. I'm pretty stoked about that. And I also like this material. I also want to say, the way that this is going to work, I have to figure out, Carly needs to tell me once we dial it, because she's got it down pretty quick to where she can make a hat, you know, within like an hour or something. I suppose that's after the fabric's cut. So I need to know what she would charge me to do a run of X amount. And then that's going to determine, plus there's the cost of material, my running around, everything else. I have to do all the math on that to come up with a number that makes it sense for me to produce enough of these to make them available for you guys. If there's that much interest, there might not be that much interest. So from there, we'll take it. Now, I have been doing my research, my due diligence. There is a page on Facebook, Vintage Workwear Facebook group, and it's great because I've been getting a lot of information from there on a lot of the other stuff that I want to produce. And I want to do it myself because I believe I have better ideas than what I'm seeing out there. Maybe I'm a little overconfident. I don't know, but I'm going to do it. So there was a guy I stumbled upon there that makes hats, and his hats are just way over the top, and he's getting like over $300 with shipping for a lot of these caps. Some of them have the leather on the inside headband, and some of them have leather brims, not all of them, but the workmanship is top notch. He's also reproducing known designs, known patterns. Stuff all the way from the 19th century, early 20th century, the teens, the 20s, 30s, 40s. I mean, these caps here are from the 40s, right? So I'm looking at what these things, like quality made cool designs, go for. That's a lot. I don't anticipate on selling these things for that much money. I think that's a little over the top. But half that probably. I don't know. Maybe less. It just depends. It has to make sense financially. Otherwise, it's not worth it. That's your dire moment of this video. So yeah. Now, Carla, another thing I wanted to point out here is I think what we'll do, and you did a fine job with it. Although the bottom hem is a little thick, again, I'm not picking on you, but what we'll have to do here is we'll have to make this inner headband part taller. Thinking about people for sizing it, because if that's a little bit taller, it's going to be easier to stick something in there and size the cap appropriately. Now, this one here is the one I'm going to wear right now. This one here, I don't know what I'll do with this. I have 10,000 subscribers coming up. Maybe I'll give this sucker away if it'll fit you. If you got a big enough dome, maybe that'll be the one of the 10,000 gift, one of a kind right there, being the a first sample. But then I could stamp my brand in there or include a patch, maybe something else, maybe some goodies. I don't know. But this one here, I'm gonna go ahead and stick this up underneath the inside the band here. Yeah, the inner headband definitely needs to be taller for this purpose. I think it'll make a lot of sense. I'm sure Carla right now is watching this going, oh yeah, that's cool, it makes sense. So, and even now it's still a little big, but it's fine. It's a lot better. And what's neat about this is that it actually works. So if I was here and the sun's beating down on me and I'm looking down, this is great because it's giving my eyes a lot of protection from the sun. I'm very happy about that. But you know, you're gonna have to, something's hanging here. Seeing something on my peripheral vision. But you're gonna have to bend this up. Now what's neat about this one is it looks pretty cool here, and you could go all the way to here. It could go all the way up, and that's not bad looking either. So I'm pretty stoked about that. I'm very happy about the fabric. And I don't know, I haven't seen this from the back, but I'll check this out on the video, I suppose, with the patch. I kind of wanted it off to the side. I didn't want it in the center. I don't know if that is perfectly centered, but yeah, I kind of wanted it on the panel of the side here. I expected it to be up on the panel, not on the headband. But, you know, it's okay. It doesn't bother me. We might not even put those on. Who knows how that's all going to work out. The next thing I'm going to do, I could do this in real time for you right on the video, is put some grommets in on the side so my head doesn't overheat. This hat, my head was overheating, and I put these little side grommets on, the red ones here, and it really made a difference. I could feel my head breathing better, even with that open in the back, so that was helpful. That's that with the hats. Pretty stoked about that. We have to do the aprons, and there's a lot of other things I want to do. I'm thinking with these things, part of what I want to do is it's kind of fun to seek out the fabric. You can find vintage fabric laying around. Sometimes bolts of it. It's sold by the yard, but you can pick up some pretty good deals. I'm looking around because I'm trying to think. It's probably in the van, and I probably showed it to you already. I did pick up some herringbone twill. That was a much thinner weight than this that I want to use for a shirt, but I think we're going to use that for some hats as well. But I'm going to start keeping my eyes peeled for more heavy duty. I love the herringbone twill pattern, and I'd prefer to stick with that whenever possible. And they do make that in different colors. You can find it in green and black and all kinds of things, and old vintage stuff, 100% cotton. Sometimes it's salvaged. All that good stuff. So what we'll do is I'll talk to Carla, check her availability, and then I'll find fabric, and then I'll send it to her, and I'll say, if you got the time and the numbers work out, make X amount of hats out of this. And those will be the runs. So it's not going to be a product you can count on at first anyhow, as far as, I like that hat, I'll get it, I'll wait a couple months till I can afford it. That won't be around anymore, possibly. Or if it is, it might not be the same fabric. So I'm just putting that out there. I'm not trying to scare you or, make you like have to get it now or anything. I'm just letting you know. That's just how it is. It's like the bands when I was making these out of the bison hide. I could only make it out of the bison hide I had. you know. So that's how this works. It's their art, functional art, just like on my business cards. Like I make a run, I make a few of these things. That's what they're, when it's sold, it's gone forever. If I get back to it, I can make some more, I will, but they will be a little bit different again. So nothing's exactly the same. That bothers some people. I get it. I had a guy years ago, a guy I went to grade school with, nice guy, Jim. He is married. I was home in Jersey doing some work, as I do. I'd really like to do another road trip, but I have to, if I do a road trip, if I drive across the country, the only way I can afford to do that is if I line up little projects along the way, like small little remodel jobs or, you know, carpentry work, put new trim up in your house. You know, I could take on some pretty decent sized projects, but, you know, it's got to be, you got to be able to afford it and all that stuff, because I need to afford my gas and it's got to be worth my time and I have to pay my rent here. These are things that should go without saying, but I'm just throwing it out there because a lot of times people want things, but they don't think it out to that degree. Having said that, I was talking about driving across the country for some reason. Man, this was the thing. Oh, I drove across country to do some work. I had work lined up. While I was there, this guy contacted me and they wanted a table for behind the sofa, like a high table, high, narrow, long table. Narrow in depth, long in width for behind the sofa. And I think they wanted a live edge thing. And I know this other woman in New Jersey, she created this whole business where she finds trees, people tell her about them, and she gets a guy to pick it up, and she's got a sawmill set up now. She's milling her own lumber, and she's killing, drying it, and she created a whole business out of nothing, out of the blue, just because she was into wood and figured it out. I went over to her yard one day, her house, and her whole front yard was just stacks of timber everywhere, already milled. Pretty cool. So I could have gotten the lumber and made this table for them. The problem was the wife wanted, she was just trying to be too specific. I kept trying to explain to him, you can't be that specific. I can't tell you exactly what the tone is going to be, the color of it. I can give you options of the wood, and I could show you some pictures of what this woman has. But when you get the finish on it, that's going to change it. And then I can't tell you exactly, like she was trying to, she had a thing in her mind, she wanted exactly that. And I said, I can't do that. Can't do that. I could give you a sketch of basic, like I always do. It always looks like the sketch. I could give you the sketch, and here's approximately what it's going to be. The dimensions will be pretty close to exactly what you want, you know, within 1/8 of an inch or so, as far as the height and the width and the depth. And these are the details I'll draw into it. But she was really, the notes I was getting from him that were coming through her were such that I just knew I couldn't please her. And I told him, I can't do it. Can't do the job because, you know, and in that situation, you could put a lot of time into something and, you know, get your initial payment and everything. And then you go to deliver it. And then they're like, well, I want it to like this and like that and like that. And then they create this argument to not have to pay you the rest of the money or something, or try to get a discount. And I'm not saying that was going to happen, but it seemed like that was the groundwork that was being laid. I can sniff that out. I've been doing this for 37 years. And I had to back away from that particular job. So that's kind of a bummer when that sort of thing happens. But that's how it is with some people. So, you know, you got to be aware of that sort of thing. By the way, just on pricing on stuff with me, like when it comes to doing furniture and all that, I have a website. It's MikeZDesign.com. It's kind of antiquated. It doesn't have my best work on it. It's old. I think we put that up, I don't even know, man. It could be 20 years ago. Around there. Maybe 15, 18 years ago. Something like that. So that was the work I had at that time, is what's on there. And, but what's good about it is there's these little tabs on the top, and it's, you know, like kind of like my philosophy of woodworking and how it works, and the design consultant tab, which I recommend you all read, because I used to do a lot of consulting with people, just getting paid for my time to go into your house and talk to you about what it is you want to do. to save you money. Because here in LA, this is not the same for everywhere. I know a lot of you guys hear me talk about this stuff. You might hear about some of my pricing, and you're like, what the hell? My uncle called me one time in Arizona. This is 20 years ago. He wanted me to help him work on his house. He's like, well, what do you get out there? And I told him, he's like, oh, those are LA prices. That's what, we go out there, drive all the way out there and just do it. That's crazy. Anyhow. So what happens here is I come in usually after, there's a lot of scenarios, but there's a few different scenarios that are pretty common for me. Usually I come in to fix something that was just done, like change something that was already done and these people paid a crap ton of money to have it done and they weren't happy. That happens all the time. Then there's the stuff where, and by the way, they've also already hired an architect and a designer. So the point of that tab on my page is to let you know, if you run into me, unless you're building a house from the ground up, you don't need an architect, and at least not yet. And you certainly don't need a designer. All right, I'll come in and help you work with that. Designers are interesting people out here, and I don't like working with them. I learned that lesson back in the 90s when I first moved out here. Right around the mid 90s, I started working with some designers. For one thing, they remained a middleman between me and a lot of clients, and a lot of those clients were super wealthy, rich and famous types. And so, they want to protect their job, and they understood my ability and my talent, so they want me to meet them. But what that ended up doing was it made everything much worse, because the back and forth. If I could talk directly to the client, get to see what's going on in their head, see how they live, look at the furniture they own, understand what's going on. I can have a conversation. I can say, I see what you want. I see what you like. Here's what I could do. Boom, done. The other thing about a designer is they kept trying to get me to work for less money so they could put a higher markup on to make more money on their end. And that whole thing I have a bitter taste in my mouth about that, because in my mind, you're just ripping off clients, So it's much better for me when somebody, the affable types could find me somehow. I don't know how they're going to find me, but when they do, I can just go and deal with them directly. It's great. And, I'm a rough around the edges kind of guy, but I'm pretty professional when I go into somebody's home. Perfect stranger. This is what I do. I've been doing it for 37 years. It's like, I've been doing it for 37 years. We got to get that on a t-shirt. So, which reminded me of something else I want to talk about. I hope I remember to get that into this video here before it's over. And again, I forgot to look at the watch before I started. But that's how that works. I can design anything and figure out how to make it work for you and make you happy. I've been to a lot of homes, mansions. And I go in there and I start talking to them about what it is I'm going to do for them. I get to know them. And then I look at the work that they had done. Some designer came in. I'm like, wow, this is interesting. It doesn't seem like you. And every time I've said that, it's been the same answer. Yeah, it's not me. My designer wanted to do this. Designers talk people. I know a girl. She's coming over here in a little bit. My friend Kurgi. She's got a friend, and he's got millions and millions of dollars. Rich guy. He inherited it, and it's fine. He's a pretty nice guy, I know. And he's got this house that was his mom's house, and I don't want to say too much about it, but he got some architects involved. He got designers involved. They've gutted the entire house. It's been sitting gutted for several years now because they can't agree on anything, because he wants what he wants, and she told me what he wants, and it's really out there. He's a Dodgers fan, and he wants Dodgers blue and all this kooky stuff. And the designers want to do what they want to do. They're big time LA designers, so they want everything they do. They have the network, so they can get it in the magazine, right? Maybe get some commercial place to come over and shoot commercials in there or whatever. That's what they try to do, because that's how they keep getting high-end clients, because their work is the work that you see in the magazines. That's how this works. So he keeps saying no, they keep arguing, but they're on a salary. He's paying them every month money while that place sits there gutted. That's friggin' asinine, as far as I'm concerned. When you got that kind of money, you don't even care. That's insane to me. I told her I'd work with him. I'd take that job on. He's not an easy guy to work with, but I'd say, okay, you want this? I'll do it for you. Here's what I think about it. But I can take what you want and I could give it a little bit more pizzazz and make it cool. Guaranteed, you can have your Dodger Blue stuff, but I'll warm it up with some real wood and whatnot, and you'll be flabbergasted. You'll be so happy. But I'm going to charge you for it, you know. But guaranteed, I could charge my max. He's still going to save money. He wouldn't be spending that. I mean, because he's paying these designers. Those designers are going to hire craftsmen, and those craftsmen are going to charge a lot of money, and those designers are going to get a percentage of that too, which is more BS. So when you come to me, you cut out the middleman on everything. I figure it out for you. I charge you for my time. I get it done, and it's done. You end up saving money, and you're happier because it's way closer to what you really want, what your real vision is. So the website's pretty good about that. And on there, in the How It Works section, excuse me, I point out how I typically will ask, and it's what I want, is 2/3 up front. That's a little hard for some people to swallow. Some people are like, I'll give you 50% up front. And I'm like, no, you have to give me 2/3 up front. That's not, it's hard for some people to accept that. But I'm going to tell you why I do it. A little trade secret. Maybe I'm letting the cat out of the bag here, but this is how it works. 2/3 up front for me pretty much covers my job. So if for some reason I get the job done and then, you know, I bring it over, I deliver it, I install it, whatever that is, if there's some sort of conflict at that point, don't test me on this. Don't test me on this. But if there's some sort of conflict and I get a little pissed off with dealing with that person, worst case scenario, I can walk away. And it's not like I'm hurting that much from it, because I know I got covered pretty much for my time. Like my that last third is my gravy. That's just how I work it. And I've been doing this for a long time, not the 37 years. But I've been doing that for a solid 20 years, you know, just working it out that way. And if also, when I say that to somebody, if they balk at that, then I'm also kind of in the mindset of, okay, well, that's probably somebody I might not want to work for anyhow. There's a lot of little tells with people when you first meet them and have the meetings and the conversations and get to their home, and you can feel them out and you can determine whether or not, I determine whether or not I even want to work for them. And when we have that conversation, when I look you in the eye and I tell you, I've chosen you, I'll do the job for you, it's because I like you. And I'll tell you, I don't take every job that comes at me, because I don't like everybody. That's just how it is. And I set my life up in a way where I could say no to anything and I can walk away from anything. There's nobody depending on me but me. I don't have a bunch of little mouths to feed or anything like that, right? So I'm fortunate that way. And by the way, I just want to throw this out there too, because some people hear about numbers or what I make on a piece or whatever. You're not really making the money. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Like a piece of furniture, like a table, I could spend $3,000 or more just on the material. And then that material has to get milled. And you guys understand, you've been watching the videos. There's a process to my milling where I take away all the movement out of it before I even start making the parts and gluing parts together so that my stuff doesn't warp and move. That's a process. And this takes weeks for me to knock out a piece. So if a piece is $15,000 or $20,000, by the time I'm done with that piece, with all the money I spent on material and the amount of time I put into milling it before I'm even making the parts, by the time that project is done, most of the time I don't have any money left. Like, I've got to get the next job. And sometimes that job's not there. And that's why I end up going to these other clients I've got all over the place that they have old houses, and I have to pop in there and do like a built-in or put in a skylight or rehang some doors. I do that sort of thing to keep some money coming in, because there's times where I don't work for a month or I don't work for a couple months. That has happened to me. That's just, so it's feast or famine. That's how it is. I could work more if I was willing to accept more BS from other people, but I'm not willing to do that. I'm not saying I'm right, by the way. That's just how I am. In order for me to be happy and make other people happy and feel good about what I'm doing and do the best job possible, I have to have this vibe. I have to create this thing. You've got to be cool. I've got to want to do the thing for you. We've got to get along. That's how it is. I'm not going to do anything for anybody or with anybody I'm not getting along with. That doesn't make any sense. That's why there's so many unhappy people in the world that are working. They're going to jobs that they hate doing, or they're working in an environment that they hate being around, or they work with people that they don't like. They work with people who make their lives miserable and all that. I can't do that. You guys heard my story from the Marine Corps. That friggin' that turned a gear in my brain. That experience, like 11 months of, after boot camp, after infantry school, and everything else. But I had like a year on this one base. But I'm saying out of that year, at least 11 months of it was just nonstop. And I blew lost a screw, man. A couple screws came loose during that period of time, and that's kind of who I am. I've never changed that. I'm still that type of person. So if I have to be forced, when I got out of service, I started as a gopher. They were building these condos in my town. It's a long story. I'm not going to get too into it, but the town stopped the construction of it. This was a wealthy guy. He owned a lot of property. He had a marina where these condos were, and he ended up buying a couple empty lots, and then we started building custom homes. And I jumped quick, man. I went from a gopher to a framer. Actually, I started off making the forms for the footings and pouring the concrete, mixing I was the concrete mixer. Of course, we had a truck come to pour the footings. But after that, I mixed all the cement for the block work. And one of the guys we had working with is Howard Feller. He was 68 years old at the time. This was 1987. He'd been an engineer in World War II. Landed at Normandy, marched all the way to Berlin. He had 2 mice in his pack that made a nest he didn't even know about because he never opened his pack. And Howard was a mason by trade. So we did everything. We did the block work. We framed the house. Everything. We did everything, even to the interior trim. I learned everything. I learned how to do cabinets, put in kitchens, laminate work, all of that. Then I eventually left that and got into making, working in, I did home improvements with a guy, doing everything, retrofitting showers, putting skylights in, air conditioning units in the walls, you name it, man. Learned how to do a lot of tile work and everything. Then I got into cabinet shops, making cabinets and cabinet shops, and then laminates and doing laminate countertops. I've worked in all those different things until I came out here and started working the movie business, and that was really cool. So not only have I been doing it for nearly 40 years, but I've worked in a lot of different aspects of the industry. So I got a pretty good grasp on how all these things work. But I had a point I was going to make, and of course I lost it. Let me jump to this other thing. I think it's about time for that. Let me just make sure I'm reading in my mind right now. Where was I going with all that? But the point of all that is look at the website. This is how I charge. This is how I could save you money. Boom. As far as helping you with the design and everything, so you don't have to hire a designer. You don't need an architect unless you're doing some big deal, like a structural change to your home, an addition, a facade change, that sort of thing. But even then, you don't really need one of those guys. And in LA, homeowners could do pretty much anything they want to their homes. A homeowner could go pull their own permit. So it's a thing. I mentioned something about t-shirts. I do want to get some t-shirts done. And now check this out. This is a recommendation for you. There's a channel. I love this guy's channel. He has no idea who I am. He's very entertaining. It's called Pole Barn Garage. And it's this guy down, I think he's in Missouri, if I'm not mistaken. I could be mistaken. He's got a son and a wife, and it's a great family. And this guy's a mechanic. He could get with it. He'll bring a kit of tools and the parts he thinks he needs, and he can get anything running. And when I say anything, he pulled a GTO that was sitting for like something like 30 or 40 years or something, 20 or 30 years, out in the desert, shot through with holes, shot to pieces. You could see it looked like Swiss cheese going down the road. He got that thing running and drove it something like 700 miles or something. Crazy. his most recent video from last week, he was going to buy another GTO that was on fire. It survived like a building fire, and they picked up some crappy station wagon with a 460 in it, got that thing running. They had to drive 200 miles. On the way, they blew the engine. They picked up a square body, like a 78 or something, square body pickup, Chevy, and which was actually a pretty decently running truck. And as they're driving to their destination, they go to make a left-hand turn, and a Sikh, those guys with the turban on his head, a lot of these guys driving 18-wheelers right now. He goes to make the left-hand turn, and this guy decided to pass him at the same time and just drove right into him and took him out. And thank God he was in a solid steel square body pickup truck, because it was him, his son, and their friend, all in the front seat. They all survived. And then the screen breaks, and he's got an ad for a t-shirt, like "Steel Bodies Save Lives" or something, with the truck all smashed. I stopped the video at that point, went to the link, and pre-ordered the shirt, because that's how cool it was to me. Like, this guy, I've been enjoying his stuff, and I look at his merch store from time to time, but I don't like his logo. Like, for me personally to wear, like, I want to support him, and I'm not knocking him. I love the guy. You hear what I'm saying? His design aesthetic for his merch, for me personally, isn't cool enough. I had to design some stuff for him. Here's a sketch. Do this. It's cooler. But he's doing fine with it. He just posted something. I haven't watched it yet. I saw it, but they got over 600 pre-orders when that video went up. And I knew that was going to happen. I even made a comment. Everybody's going to order this shirt. Now, I got emails saying that the shirt's coming and everything already, and an email from the company that makes the shirt. I'm going to reach out to that company, because I've been wanting to do my own shirts, the Mike Z design. I've had them before, by the way. Never did the Astro Van Tribe shirt, but I want to do that with the logo on it. And the Mike Z design shirts, some of you have asked for them lately, and a few other things. I'm going to see if that makes sense. It's easier. I make less money, but it's easier. It's easier for you. It's easier for everybody. I could just have a link where you could go buy the shirt. And then, because they make way more money, and I get basically a cut out of it, I think is how it works. I don't know what the percentage, what the markup is for me, how much I can make on it, but I want to talk to them and see. I want to do that for you guys, so you guys can start buying that sort of thing. And so I'm just bringing that up because I'm looking at the top of my computer. You can't see it, but it's got ash on it right now. And I woke up this morning to ash on it because the window's open. Even though there's a screen, there are fires going on around LA right now. The whole van was covered in ash this morning. So that's a thing that happens here. So we get snow in the summertime. It's ash. I can see it. It's not good for the computer. So anyhow, the t-shirts, I'm going to try to make that happen sooner than later. I've been on this kick about it, talking to my buddy Chad, because he's a silk screener, and he's like, "I'll make you a screen, and you can do one at a time, one color." And I kind of want to do that still, and I might do it, but those will be real limited, super short runs, and they won't be cheap. They'll be fun. It'll be super cool, rare. If you're the type of person that likes to wear something that different, might be up your alley. I don't see that being a big deal thing, though. It's kind of hard. You guys know how I am. I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. I'm doing a bunch of things at the same time all the time, and it's just me. Hard to make that stuff happen. I usually get to it, do it, perfect it, like doing that, move on to the next thing. That's just how my brain is. OCD, I guess. ADD, OCD, dyslexic. I got a lot of issues. This is why I'm single. That last video. And by the way, on that last Sunday night chat video, I did that. That's not where I wanted to go with that video. It wasn't supposed to be about why I'm single. This guy wanted me to address what my outlook would be for the future in any kind of relationship, which I'm 100% open to. But I went off on the whole why I'm single thing because I knew in my mind it might be kind of funny, and I recited a bunch of stories that are all true. So I got one comment, some guy, I got rid of it because I didn't want to get into it, but basically was accusing me of lying. Like, I just got stories, but if you watch that video, I don't see how anybody thinks I'm lying. That's all real stuff. I'm telling you as it happened. This is what happened. And all the people in those stories, I know them. I got pictures of them, with them, all of it. I don't use their names and everything because some of it's friggin' embarrassing. So I'm not going to do that. Whenever I tell my stories, I try not to use too many names or get too detail oriented because I still know these people. I'm still friends with these people. Some of the stories I repeat or I tell are pretty intimate stuff. Like I know stuff about people because people have told me their secrets forever. I'm easy to talk to. I'm not going to throw that out there. Some of it's so entertaining where when I've talked, now I talk to them like, that's a pretty good story. I'd like to really share that. Don't worry, if I do, I won't mention you or anything. So they know some of that stuff's coming. And it's okay because I'm going to protect them. I'm not going to give out enough information for people to know exactly who they are. But I try to be conscientious about that. There's some pretty wild stories out there. I got some friends, man. They're like their stories would rival any of the best ever like Jerry Springer episodes. Put Jerry Springer episodes to shame. I'm kind of cautious about it is all. Okay. Update announcement. Next month, don't have a date yet. I'm going to do this thing with my friend Kurgi. It's going to be in the Mission Hills area of Los Angeles, which is the valley. So look that up on your maps. I'm going to try to give you guys at least a week's notice, maybe 2. We'll see. We're going to do kind of a yard sale. We're calling it the garage store. And we're calling it that because this is not, a normal yard sale kind of thing where you could buy something for $0.25. There's going to be some pretty good deals there, but there's going to be items there that, we're asking hundreds of dollars or even thousands of dollars for because it's high-end vintage stuff. Really cool, super unique, ultra rare. I have a couple clothing items that don't exist anywhere else. Really rare. That sort of thing. But there'll be t-shirts and stuff and old stuff I don't use anymore and all that. And also high-end stuff, maybe some of the knives. I'll have some of the watches with the cuffs and things like that there. Some watches I haven't done anything to that I don't need anymore because I bought them because I wanted to use them a little bit. They're still like new. I did reviews on them, that sort of thing. I basically want to lighten the load. Bicycle stuff is definitely going to be going in there. Might not have all this there the first time we do it. About every month or so or every 2 months or so, we're going to do this. And Kurgi's a chef, so she's going to have some food available there. And I think it'll be fun. And I think a lot of you guys that are at least close enough to this area, Southern California, if you wanted to meet me for some reason, I'll be there. If you wanted to see the van, it'll be there. So that could be kind of fun for some people. Another thing, we're coming up on 10,000 subscribers. Did I mention that already? I did because of the hat. Here's the thing. I'm not sure how to make this work. I'd like to give something away. But I have this one thing in particular that I just want to get off the shelf at the shop, and it's kind of big and heavy. It happens to be a seat swivel for the Astrovan. It's not the Ironclad Metalworks seat swivel, but it's very well made, very robust, very cool. And if I didn't have the Ironworks seat swivel, I would absolutely not hesitate to put this in my van. So if you're an Astrovan owner and you don't have a seat swivel, but you want one, what I'm going to do is this. For the 10,000 subscriber giveaway is I'm asking you to send me an email, mike@mikezdesign.com. MikeZ design.com. Singular. No S on the end of design. I'll put that in the description. Send me a note. If you want to send me pictures, whatever you want to send me to be like, I deserve this because, or I want this because. The most entertaining one gets it. That's how that's going to work. If you are not, and that's just what I'm going to do for this. I was kind of trying to think like, I guess could be a watch. There could be a couple other things. Like if you're not an Astrovan person where I could broaden this, it's just going to depend on what kind of response I get. But I was kind of thinking too, if that's for the Astrovan people, maybe I'll bring out a watch or something and make that another thing. Maybe one of the knives, the hat, whatever. If you're interested in one of these items, I'll do a video coming up here, or even after the 10,000, where I'll put these items out and I'll say, which one, what are you interested in? Because what I want is I want entertainment. I want you to entertain me. I've been entertaining you guys long enough, so I want you to entertain me with a nice little email, photos, whatever you think is going to be like, what? Now, if I get to a point where there's enough of these emails and I'm entertained and I'm like, wow, there's like 5 people here that got some good stuff. At that point, then I'm going to draw the names out of the hat, and we'll figure out the winner at that point. I think that that's a pretty interesting, fun way to do it. And also, if it's really entertaining and I think you deserve to win, but you know that you don't want this story shared, then I'll still honor that and I won't share your story. However, I would like it to be something that I can read. If there's pictures you send me that I can't show on because this happens to me all the time. I get some pretty crazy pictures sometimes. So if it's something like that, I can't send it. But there's something you don't want me to share here on YouTube, just note that, and I won't. You can trust me. You can trust me. You can trust me. Shit, I got the keys to people's mansions in this neighborhood. You know what I mean? I can go in anybody's house I want, and pretty trustworthy guy. So I guess that's it. What's this video? This is hat updates, announcements, and upcoming events. I don't know, but it's all happening here. We're gonna leave it at that, I think. Here. Oh, Wonder Hussy was here the other day. Had a fun video with her. You guys may have seen it. Didn't get a lot of views, but it's because I didn't make the title all about her, because I was putting the pegs in the breadboard edges. So it's pegged breadboard edges and Wonder Hussy visits the shop. I think that's the name of the video. But she shot me. She shot me in the shop. She looked at the tabletop. We went into the house that's there, which is not my house. It's the client's house. I showed her a lot of high-end furniture in there. There's a chair in there I did probably 15 years or more ago, which was over 10 grand at the time. It would cost $30,000 probably, or close to it, to make that chair today. I know, right now you're like, what? I know. Look, I'm not for everybody. I get it. But that's what it would be when you see that chair. Hopefully she's got it in the video. Then we went out, got her a wig, and we met a guy who happens to be the most censored artist in America, Sabo. He's a conservative street artist. He was here doing a major hit in town on the George Clooney fundraiser for Biden and all that. By the way, it's not that I support everything he does or anything, but I support the fact that he does it. You understand the difference there? First Amendment, man. So I support that. And so he was here. He happened to call us while we were walking down Hollywood Boulevard, asking where I was. We happened to be really close. We met for a taco or burritos. Although Sarah got her asada fries, and it was horrible. It really was horrible. I had a couple bites of it. It made me feel queasy. So then we came back here, and she walked around the apartment, and then she sent me a note asking me for something, and I sent her like one of the most embarrassing pictures ever of myself. So she's going to be coming out with a video, and it could be as early as this week. It could be in the next 2-3 days from that trip here. And I don't know what she's going to do, but I expect it to be pretty funny, and she's probably just going to make fun of me the whole video. Because she loves doing that. I don't know. She is a ball buster. I love her. But my God, she loves that. It's very funny. But hopefully, she'll include the furniture and show you guys some of the crazy stuff that I've done. And I think that'd be kind of neat, because her audience will be able to see that, that kind of work exists. By the way, I'm not sitting here saying I'm the best there is. I'm not. I'm humbled all the time. I will say there's a difference. Like when you look at woodworking magazines, a lot of those guys, they can take a year to make a piece of furniture. They could take 3 months to make a piece of furniture, whatever it takes, because they're working it like that. And most of the time it's for themselves. It's because it's a challenge. They want to do it. Some of them have the clients that will pay. I mean, imagine a table taken, or not just a table, but any piece of furniture taken 3 months to do, or 4 months to do, or the better part of a year to do. How do you charge for that? There are people who pay super high dollar to get what they want. I learned this early on, like pretty close to 37 years ago. If you want to make money, you have to cater to the people who have it. And there's nothing wrong with that. And I think it's a mistake to badmouth the rich. People who have money aren't keeping other people from gaining money. Wealth is not finite. Anybody can generate wealth. Anybody can make money. You got to go out there and figure it out. It takes effort. It takes diligence, hard work, sacrifice, confidence. You got to believe in yourself. You got to take those chances. That's hard for some people to do, especially people with families, children, and all that. Much easier, just get a job and try to make as much money as you can on a job. Even if you go to a place that sucks, even if you got to commute an hour or more back and forth both ways, all the things that it can do to destroy your fucking soul. You know, make you lose your hair early, make you gain weight, everything else. I get it. I'm just saying, you know, people who've worked for their wealth, I got nothing but respect for them. That's how it is. And rich people buy the newest, latest, greatest stuff too, as far as the technology goes. And so that benefits us all. I'll give you an example. I think the first digital watches kind of came out like in the 60s. Look that up. They were $300 or more in the 60s. You know what $300 was? That was like $5,000 today in the 60s. It was crazy. But by the late 70s into the early 80s, you got digital watches for free and a Happy Meal. So same thing with Teslas, right? The electric vehicles, everything. New technology comes out, which, by the way, I'm not a big supporter of. We can go down in the rabbit hole with that, with the batteries and the pollution caused by it. They blow up, all the problems. The grid can't really support them. All that stuff, fine. I think they're neat. They have their purpose. I support the fact that it's capitalism and you could do it, but I don't like the government forcing us to have to do anything. I think that's bullshit. That's another discussion. That's another video. But, you know, rich people buy it at first. Then those companies take that money from their initial sales, high dollar sales, they reinvest in their company, and eventually they make things better, smaller, more efficient. Eventually they nail it, just like these hats, right? So took Carla a few days to figure this out and make these, and still not perfect. But she will. She'll eventually get them. She'll be able to get them done quicker and better, more pro. Then the price goes down, which is kind of ironic. But that's how that works. So knocking the wealthy is kind of silly. And that's kind of the American thing. Like everybody wanted to be like Trump till he became a politician, right? And then the people who didn't like him after that were really just brainwashed not to like him with a bunch of BS, because we know what the truth is. By the way, I never watched it before, but there was a podcast I watched last night. Logan Paul. You got Jake Paul, Logan Paul. I am not hip to the latest. I don't know what's going on. I watch this show every Monday called Kill Tony. I love it. It's a comedy show out of Austin. I highly recommend it. But they talk about stuff all the time, these comics. They're referencing what's going on in the up to the moment culture right now. I don't even know what the hell they're talking about most of the time. So I've never watched Logan Paul fight, I don't think. Maybe once on YouTube, but I don't remember. Same thing with Jake Paul. Maybe I've seen one of his fights, but I don't really follow it. I'll be watching the Mike Tyson one if that actually does come through and happen. But Logan Paul did a podcast and he had Trump on, President Trump. It was spectacular. Like, I was watching some MSNBC and CNN people talking, and they're trying to convince you that Trump can't form complete sentences. They're basically trying to tell you Trump possesses all the stuff that we see Biden having the issues with. Like there's the people that watch those channels and believe it. I don't know what to say, man. It ain't the truth what they're saying. So I'm just saying, watch that interview. It was only up for a couple days and it already had over 3 million views. That's a viral podcast. I really hope that Joe Rogan gets Trump on. But the thing is he got on there and he talked about his last administration. He talked about all the things that he did, how he did it, how he would stop these things from happening, and how he would make other things happen, and how he did it before. And it's just common sense business stuff, and how he gets along with our enemies, because that's an important thing to do, and that's common sense and it makes sense. And I shared it on Facebook, but I'm sure that stuff gets shadow banned or they don't show it there because it supports, the opposite of what they want you to do. But that podcast and others are the death knell for mainstream media controlling the narrative. It's mind-blowing to me. It's so cool because you get to see a guy in a regular conversation talking with normal people in a normal way. You see the human being and the common sense and the smarts and the quick wittiness of it. You're not going to see our current president right now doing anything like that. They won't let him do it because he can't do it. Right? So I'm just saying, pay attention to what's going on. YouTube is an amazing platform for stuff like that. So I'm glad to be here because of that. Yay, YouTube. They can also take away everything you've got at any moment. So I think it's a little scary for some people. Sarah and I were talking about this. There's people there's people I know, they do YouTube for a living. Sarah's one of them. And keep in mind, I still haven't taken a dime from YouTube. It's coming. I will. I promise. But I have a job. I work. I hustle. I don't have a 9 to 5. I don't work 40 hours a week. None of that. Right? But I generate income. I make things happen. I hustle. I buy stuff, sell stuff. Whatever it is, I'm hustling all the time to keep myself here. And it's not just me I'm taking care of. I got all kinds of people asking me for coin, and I'm trying to help people out all the time, and it's hard. So, and I'm paying to live here. I'm paying the bills on the house in Arizona. There's a lot going on here. And it's a little overwhelming at times. But I can do that. So it's not like I need YouTube. I don't do YouTube for money. I do YouTube because I was compelled to do it, and it's fun. And now I'm at a point with it with you guys. All right, coming up on 10,000 subscribers, which is cool. It's nothing, though. That's a drop in the bucket compared to the people who are actually making money, like living on YouTube. I never even I never entertained getting 10,000 subscribers. I never thought this would happen. It's going to happen. It's going to happen any day now. It's going to happen this week. So, thank you. It's friggin' crazy, man. I'm just some dude talking on my phone in a hoarder apartment. It's nuts. But it could keep growing. I suspect it will. I'll get better at this. I'll come up with better stuff. I want to do more interviews. But what I was going to get at is the people who do it for a living, they depend on it. Sarah's told me this. Other people have told me this. They get to a point where they're making X, but then suddenly it drops for a month or two by half, and they don't know why. So it's nuts, and sometimes they get shut down altogether. Pages have been taken away from people. You got to be careful what you say on here. You just, you can say the wrong thing, you can get, canceled. Whatever. You can't really cancel me. You say whatever you want about me, and if I said it, I'll own it, and I'll tell you why I did it, and I'll stick by it, because it'll just be a common sense kind of way. I'm not attacking anybody. I'm not belittling anyone. You know what I mean? It's, I'm not making fun of a group of people or anything like that. I'll make fun for the sake of a joke, for humor, but that's not venomous, and I don't really mean it. It's just for the sake of a chuckle, But I'm just saying, and I'm bringing that up because I've been trying to help a couple early on YouTubers. I helped one of them already get over 1,000 subscribers, and I really like him. And right away he went to getting Patreon and every video. I like it. I like that he's doing it. But right away he went to every video asking, begging people, go to the thing, and that's fine. But you have to have goals. You have to have dreams. You got to go after them. But you also have to temper your expectations a little bit so you're not disappointed. Right? I've said this before. Every girl I've ever gone out with. No expectations, no disappointments. Remember I said that. Write that shit down. You gotta, what's today's date and the time? Or I said it because we're going to have a conversation in a couple of weeks where I remind you. I told you, no expectations, no disappointments. So it's interesting when I see people trying to get into this, and you could see. You just see it. Like, that's their goal. That's their dream. There's nothing wrong with that. But thousands and thousands of people have that same thing. And maybe one of them will get that successful out of a group of 10,000 people that try it. So it's a thing. You have to keep that reality level, you know. You don't want to set yourself up for too much disappointment. I've seen too many people turn bitter and angry and blaming the world and everything else because they had all these dreams and everybody encouraged it, but they didn't have anybody in their life to say, now listen, it's a good thing, it's a good idea. Just remember this. And there's another thing that happens. Maybe you're just not that good at it. You know, maybe you don't have the look for it. Now, YouTube, the great thing about YouTube is you don't have to be good looking to be successful on there. That's the thing I love about it. I said it before when I was doing the radio show thing and there was that little clash there. And I did a video after they tore me up explaining basically to them that they don't get it. YouTube's not about the rich and famous. YouTube is about the average Joe and Jane putting themselves out there, being genuine, doing what they love doing. And then if it has something to it and enough people start latching on and sharing it and it turns into a big thing, that is awesome because they're just average human beings doing what they want to do and they're being supported by other human beings. That is the coolest thing in the world, and that's the beauty of YouTube. That's why I like it. I like being here, and it seems to be working for me. But the idea of having, like, even like Sarah, like, she deserves every subscriber she's got. She puts a tremendous, we had this conversation. I told her, I said to her, I said, look, I'm not doing what you do. I'm not making YouTube that's her full-time job. Every day she's filming stuff. She's editing. She's putting the work in. She's doing what she needs to do to keep that growing, to keep bringing in income so she could live her life. And at any moment, it could be taken away from her because she doesn't control it. YouTube controls it. She's like a little bit on eggshells. She doesn't say all the things that she wants to say. You know, she doesn't show all the things she'd like to show. She's got to work around some stuff. And she puts, as we know, a tremendous amount of time editing. I told her to her face. It was so funny. It was I love her so much. I said, I am not doing it. I mean, I'll probably get to a little bit of editing. Maybe I'll have an intro one day. Maybe I'll be able to put a little music in at some point. Maybe I'll even learn how to do a drone at some point. I think drone footage is one of the coolest things about YouTube. It certainly is a good idea when you're off-roading and you want to go look ahead to see what's going on before you get there. Might be good for Bigfoot hunting too. But I'm just saying, my thing is just keep it as genuine and real as possible. This right here, me and you, nothing more connected than this right here. I don't want to lose that. I think when it starts getting too polished, too cinematographic, I think that there's a bigger audience for that because people like to be entertained and taken away to this beautiful place where it's like watching a movie. And I love that myself. Living the van life is like that. You watch his videos, it's like watching a movie. That guy's a super pro, man. I met him. He's a really cool guy. Chad, another Chad. He's much taller in real life than he looks on screen. But I'm going to try to keep this purposefully as simple as possible. And mainly because I'm working on other stuff all the time. I don't have the kind of time to be sitting there editing all night. So that's it. I think that's enough. I think I've said enough. This was rambling. It was Sunday night chat, hat update, announcements, and a whole lot of rambling, man. A whole lot of rambling. Like 360 degrees of rambling. That's what this has been. But thank you for being here. I know you're here. I know you're watching. Some of you actually like this. Thank you for that. 10,000 subscriber giveaway. Something's going to happen with that. Remember what I said about that. I'll probably do a video just on that. And that's it for now. Thanks for being here. You guys are awesome. I really appreciate all of you. And have a great day. Be kind to one another. Help each other out. I'll have the dates for the garage store sale in the Valley soon. I'll see you later.